I'm Caitlyn McKenney, and I'm excited to share with you a new report out of Discovery Institute, authored by Senior Fellow Robert Marbett and myself. A new approach to homelessness in Seattle presents data on homelessness and policy recommendations informed by that data. Let me share just an overview of what we found and what we think needs to change in Seattle. Nationwide, homelessness increased by 12% last year to the highest number on record. If that growth rate stays the same, homelessness will double in the next 5 to 6 years. So things are bad at a national level, but in King County, the situation is even worse. Unsheltered homelessness increased by 23% in King County. And if nothing changes, the number will double from 10,000 individuals to 20,000 experiencing unsheltered homelessness in less than 3 years. Let me say that again, just to be very clear. Nationwide, doubling in less than 6 years. In King County, doubling in less than 3. This should be a wake-up call for leaders in King County and in Seattle. So why? Why are we facing such a tragic crisis of unsheltered homelessness here? The data points to 2 significant reasons. The first is a dramatic change in the distribution of funding in the last decade or so. Seattle moved away from funding emergency and transitional housing beds and went all in on permanent supportive housing. Instead of a balanced continuum of care that moves from emergency to transitional to permanent housing, Seattle is spending hundreds of millions of dollars on fully subsidized housing units with no requirements for treatment or job training for the people that live in them. The second piece of data that explains why the crisis is particularly bad in King County is that half of the people experiencing homelessness here first began experiencing homelessness outside of King County. We surveyed clients in homelessness programs in Seattle and found that 49.7% first started experiencing homelessness in a different county, in a different state, or even in a different country. So what got Seattle here? Putting the vast majority of our resources into permanent supportive housing, halting any requirement of treatment in that housing, and taking a one-size-fits-all approach to people on our streets no matter where they came from or why they ended up here. In the report, we give Seattle's leaders 3 immediate action steps in response to the policies that got us here. The first is to allocate all unrestricted funding towards treatment and recovery programs. The second is to redirect funding towards an emergency response and start to rebalance that continuum of care. And the third is to create 2 clinical tracks that put people in the best environment for their recovery. And that means prioritizing family reunification for people who began experiencing homelessness outside of King County and should get treatment and services back home where their support network is. So often we talk about the ways that policies aren't working and are failing to solve the problems in front of us. And as much as we should be holding leaders accountable for the outcomes of their policies, we also have to provide alternatives. Solutions to homelessness at a citywide level that are common sense and can be put into action. You can find this policy report at fixhomelessness.org. Please share it with your elected officials and join us in advocating for a new approach to homelessness in Seattle.